Peace, how we doing, people? So, don't forget now, you got to use the force, alright? Just use that fucking loving force, alright? There's compassion available, let's use it. So, what have I got to say today? Well, misinformation. That's what I have to say today. Misinformation, okay? So, I was online and I saw a post. Well, there was two. The first one was on Snoop Dogg's page, and it was back in 1903. There was a boxer called John Anthony Johnson, which is funny because my birth name should have been John Johnson, but wrong colour, wrong age. Anyway, so he was a boxer, and a very controversial one, because back at that time white supremacy was more dominant than it is now, and quite frankly he beat Jim Crow's best boxer, right? And Jim Crow was some hench, or is it was a white supremacist society, right? And they taught that people with brown skin were, weaker, less intelligent, all the barbaric teachings that, the empiricals like to do and have done throughout time. So anyway, basically the article that Snoop had posted was saying about his great achievements and that he was the inventor of the wrench. And it mentioned the monkey wrench. And, I just thought that was interesting. I thought that was a positive bit of information. So I just shared it. And anyway, I shared it. Right. So then I was then on another post. And it basically says 4 people hung from trees during COVID. This is not going to go unnoticed. This won't be crushed. We won't have this. And the picture had 4, the post had 4 pictures in it of these people, but something just didn't look quite right about that. It made me a bit like, so I asked the people of the post, I said, where did you get these articles from? Is there any quick way you can just tell me, save me some research, quite frankly, which should never be done anyway. Bad me. So anyway, after a couple of slightly sarky comments from a couple of people, the person who actually owned the page said to me, check our what is it on Instagram, you have the little thing, check our story, the main articles there, because this thing that I was reading was just a written blurb, and I was like, well, that's not stating any info, it's not stating any sources, nothing like that. So I jumped on there and I went and had a look. I took a picture of the thing on my phone, went away, researched each case, and yes, all 4 brown-skinned people were killed. All 4 brown-skinned people have died in COVID. 2 of them found hanging. I think 3 of them were found hanging from a tree, and 1 of them was a woman who was pregnant. So fucking heinous, right? I think we all. That's just ouch. One guy, he was found round the back of something. He wasn't hanging from a tree. But when I read the articles, what I realised was that it's harsh and you can't diminish it. But in the way the article was being used, I thought was irresponsible, because the families of 2 of the cases had said, we are not going public with this. There wasn't a full write-up on it. The journalists even said, I mean, one of the papers I couldn't get access to because we're not allowed access to it in Europe. I don't know. So, but racism is real. Brown-skinned people are being hung from trees by pinky beige-skinned people that believe they're superior. Well, anyone who thinks they're superior to anyone else is clearly misinformed. right? That's all it is. Mainly, it's misinformation that leads to the growth of an unhealthy ego state, right? So I went and did the research. Now, that story with the 4, that was a little bit, you know, so I went back to the post and I told them what I find. And when I got back there, I found out that a few people had responded to me because I said that I was going to go away and do research. There was a few people that were really like, wow, this guy's fucking spot on. That's the way we should be reacting, not just going, rah, rah. It's like, okay, all right, I may or may not like this information. Regardless, I want to go and have a look for credibility, right? Objective. Be objective. This is it, right? We've got to be objective. We're in an age of misinformation, right? And you know, we've got to use the force. That's what we've got to do. We've got to use the force, and the force is inside us, and it leads us to what's right, what's true, what's honest. You know, dare I use the word morality? You know, people don't want to be fucking moral because we're raised in a shitstorm. Well, fuck that. I don't have sex with people. I haven't had sex for fucking 7 years nearly. Right? By choice, because I don't sleep around. Now, I'm not saying if you sleep around you've got a problem, but to me, that's not cool, right? But each to their own. My point. I didn't need to share that. It came out. Anyway, I'm too deep now. I'm not going to fucking go again. So it's a matter of let's do what's right. And more often than not, what's right ain't very fucking easy. It means we got to do some things we don't want to do. I don't want to be reading shit on the internet, right? The modern day library. The modern day library. There you go. That's Jim Crow. You can get the history of their full fucking... God. Right? America, the new world, built on racism. From the old world, built on racism. All civilizations are not civil and they're built on the suppression of other peoples, right? Basic racism, right? One believes they're higher than the other and pushes that on them. That's racism. You don't need to be white to be racist. You've just got to believe you're better than the other person and they are of a different colour to you. So... I then went back after that story. I was like, okay, so I checked the Jack Johnson story with the wrench. I checked the ones on the thing, and you know, I could have stopped at the first bit of information I found, but actually on the first, it was quite funny. When it was the Jack Johnson one, the guy with the wrench, right, the inventor of the wrench. And what it turned out was, actually, that was in 1903. In 1835, a guy called Solomon something, I forget his main name, Solomon something or other. Anyway, that was the first person who actually patented a wrench, which was only officiating a hand tool that had been used for time, you know. And then later on, this Charles Munchke then claimed, but he didn't register anything. This Charles Munchke, I think he might have, I think he might, but I haven't found any patent numbers for him. His name was just thrown in there, right? Again, you know, we have to remember that throughout time, misinformation has been one of the key battle tactics. Right, you've got to look at, there's so many different ways to look, right? There's so many different, you know, demonstrations of misinformation being used to confuse people, and then the force that's putting out the misinformation then comes into the confused people and pushes them in the direction they want. So watch out. You know, if you want to disbelieve me, cool, go do some research. That's what I'm doing, right? Put the time in, find the information, and try and have a bigger picture. No one is right. No one is wrong. Unfortunately, we've all got the fucking rights, or should have the rights, to live how we want, think how we want, which I promote. But when you're coming from a society that has fucking guided your mind in a certain direction so that you've got these group mentality thinking pods, it's even easier to misinform them and guide them. So we need to be aware. In an age of mass information, we've got the internet, which is like the modern day library. You know, we can be informed to just stop ourselves from acting on whatever we see. Oh, can't believe they took that fucking monument down. Our history, right? Most of the praised people in history, unfortunately, were part of the problem. But they were glorified. Much like the German queen we have, who changed her name to become an English queen. Right? Glorified. Their wars, their battles. No, we're not. We have to try and stay objective and neutral. Even once we know information, we must still know that that can't be the bigger picture. So as much as, yes, you know, you can find out that, let's go to the case of the 4 dead people in America, 3 of them hanging from trees, heinous, right? But we still can't assume. You know, my mum taught me at homeschooling, one should never assume, or you make an ass, A-S-S, out of you and me. Assume, right? One should never assume. My mum was fucking wise. Argue with that, right? We've got to stay objective. We've got to try and be emotional whilst not being emotionally involved. Takes a bit of self-control. Not to just pop at someone. Not to just chime in with some bullshit. It's very easy to do that. So, you know, I say, I do, I am. I don't want to say anything to anyone. I say that I do, so I am. Right, you do what you want to do, right? But I'm just saying, there are forces that want a fucking race war, they want a class war, and they just generally want divide and chaos. It's one of the age-old tactics of keeping a civilization intact, and more to the point, suppressed and doing as they're fucking told. So if you don't get informed about COVID and how this virus works its way into your body through the bottom of your, it's down beneath your gut, right? Comes in, it has to latch on to this one thing, and they fucking hybrided this motherfucker so it could even latch, because COVID wasn't latching, right? They got it to latch in the fucking laboratories. That's real talk. So, but there's ways to stop it, right? You can get, let's show you what I'm fucking doing to stop it. What are you doing to stop it, chum? Well, I'm working out every day, right? I'm not really too concerned about it, but what I have come and got, right, is we see in there, right? See what this is, right? Now this is all like oh, hello, vitamins and all of that, right? I've got fibre in there, I've got protein, not protein like muscle building protein, it's protein, right? Just to have like a fully functioning body that's healthy, right? Let's get you back in there. Fully functioning body that's healthy, we need protein in us, right? So I'm not taking like extra protein so I can get hench. I'm just taking protein that my body needs, right? So I've got the additives, I've got the extras, the vitamin B's, the zinc, the iron, the fucking all of it, right? Now all of that's actually going to help way more than a mask or some plastic gloves will that will keep transferring things. But remembering that COVID was hybrided in a fucking lab because it wasn't latching on to the cell. It couldn't take. That's what the professionals say that did it. So anyway, remember, use the force. Where's my finger? All right, we've got to stay objective. I don't want us all just arguing and dividing. It's really tricky. It's really tricky not to do that, to just argue. Try and fight your point because you're right about something or you feel a way. Don't just feel a way, know a way, right? And then stand back from that way and go, that might not be the answer still. Let's stay objective. It's hard to do. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm far from it, but peace.